The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? Happy Hump Day, happy Wednesday, Pushing the Limits. So glad you could join us. Broadcasting all over the place on the FM AM dial, of course, on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, our Facebook fan page, and glad you make us a part of your day. And I want to get right into it, and I don't want to waste any time, because I join you on the show today, frustrated, angry, as sometimes I am, and upset, disgusted with some members of Congress. What's taking place in the Middle East is horrific, tragic, barbaric. What Hamas has done and what Hamas has started is a war. And the members of Hamas do not care if their own die. They do not care if Palestinians die. They certainly want Israelis to die. And they have that ideology where they want to be martyrs and kill as many people as possible, and then their virgins are waiting for them in heaven. Any reasonable person would agree with that statement. But, of course, we've learned in the last few days of this bombing of a hospital where over 500 people at this Gaza hospital have died. I would imagine most of those people, maybe even all of them, innocent people that did absolutely nothing wrong. But what we're seeing across the country, not just from everyday people and across the world, but from our own politicians, misinformation about who was responsible for this bombing. And I'm getting really, really angry by the minute when I see some of the stuff on social media and I see members of the squad blatantly putting out fake news, false information. And these are the same people, rightfully so, that are upset about fake news when it comes to, Donald Trump saying the election was stolen, January 6th was a tourist visit. Rightfully so. That's misinformation. But what Tlaib is putting out there and Ilhan Omar is blatant misinformation and anti-Semitism. So Tlaib put out a tweet yesterday blaming Israel for these people that died at this hospital in Gaza without any information of what exactly happened. Ilhan Omar making similar statements. And make no mistake about it, this is a horrible tragedy. I say once again, a horrible tragedy. But the proof is in the pudding. There are videos out there of this bombing. There is evidence, physical evidence, of where these bombs came from. And following an analysis by the IDF's operational systems, a barrage of rockets was launched towards Israel, passed in the vicinity of the hospital when it was hit. And according to intelligence information from a number of sources, Islamic Jihad terrorist organizations are responsible for the failed rocket launch that hit that hospital and killed so many innocent people. It was a missile, and this isn't just intelligence from the Middle East. This is also our own intelligence, the information that we have in America. Apparently, it was a missile that was launched by the Palestinian group that exploded in midair. And a large piece of that missile fell on the hospital, causing the explosion. The geolocation and timing of the footage is very conclusive. Like I said, there's video evidence of this actually happening. where the missiles were coming from, not from Israel. This isn't an opinion now. This is a fact. Surveillance camera footage shows a large barrage of rockets being launched from northern Gaza, followed by a massive blast at the strip there, caused by this failed projectile. And meanwhile, while we have all this evidence out there, idiots like Tlaib, with her anti-Semitism, blaming Israel. You know what that would be like? Let me compare this to something else so maybe some people in this country can understand why I'm so angry. Let's just say hours after 9/11, days after 9/11, around that vicinity, when we knew, based on our own intelligence, that Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden was responsible for 9/11. Imagine for a moment, hypothetically speaking, if we had a Muslim that was a politician in this country blaming us for 9/11, saying that it was Americans that did it. How would you feel about that as an American, knowing that it wasn't true? That's exactly what Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are doing. And I am angry today at the Democratic Party. Here's why. While 99.9% of the Democratic Party are not making statements like this, they are not calling out Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. And I am angry at Hakeem Jeffries. And I am angry at Joe Biden, because they should be the first people calling out this anti-Semitism and this blatantly false information that is wrong. Blaming Israel for innocent people dying when they had absolutely nothing to do with what took place at this hospital in Gaza. Nothing. It was Hamas that is responsible. But Tlaib is the first person that wants to hope and blame Israel for this, when Israel had nothing to do with it. It's not just their intelligence, and even entities that are anti-Israel admitting that it wasn't Israel, but it's our own intelligence in the United States of America. And yes, I'm angry. I'm angry at innocent lives lost. I hate to see that. I hate to see families and children and mothers and innocent people dying because of Hamas. They're the ones who started this, and they're responsible for this bombing or explosion, whatever you want to call it, at this hospital. Yes, I'm angry at that. And I'm also angry at our own politicians, our own elected officials. Very few of them, thank God, but one is too many. Members of the squad, without knowing any of the facts, immediately assuming that it was Israel that did this. How irresponsible are you, Tlaib? Despicable. And then when asked in a hallway about Hamas by a reporter, can you condemn, what Hamas did? No response from her. She doesn't want to talk about Hamas. She doesn't want to talk about how this all started, but she wants to attack Israel at any moment she can, and it's disgusting. And her comments are disgusting, and it's deplorable. And this is one part where I agree with most Republicans, and that is the fact that most Democrats are pro-Israel. And yes, Republicans have a right to call out Tlaib. Anybody does. I wish Democrats would do more of it. There are some, and I give them credit. Where is Hakeem Jeffries on this? Where is Joe Biden on this? When we have a member of the Democratic Party, a sitting congresswoman, along with Ilhan Omar, blaming Israel for an attack where they had absolutely and positively nothing to do with it. And don't you give me this garbage that Israel's lying. The proof is in the pudding. There's video of this. There's video evidence of this, where these bombs were coming from, and it wasn't coming from Israel. There's actual audio of members of Hamas speaking about this, admitting that they screwed up and it was an accident. There's evidence everywhere that this was Hamas, and Israel had nothing to do with it. And when all this stuff has come out, did Tlaib apologize? Did she retract? Guess who retracted their statement? He's a liberal, Keith Olbermann. He went on social media irresponsibly after this attack and blamed Israel. But Keith Olbermann has some logic and some sense and some decency, because then he went right back on Twitter and he apologized. And he said he didn't have all the information and that he was deleting his tweet about this and admitting that he was wrong. Tlaib will never do that because Keith Olbermann has some decency. You could disagree with his politics even if you don't like him. He admitted he was wrong. Keith Olbermann was wrong, but he admitted he was wrong. Let me be very clear here in the simplest terms possible for some of you people out there that still think Israel was responsible for this. There is video of where the bombs were coming from. There is video evidence of how this took place. It's not just the IDF that has evidence. Our own intelligence is confirming it. Joe Biden made those statements today. It is confirmed. Hamas was responsible for the explosion and the over 500 people that were killed in the hospital in Gaza. If you are a sitting member of Congress, any type of elected official, and you put out that kind of misinformation and you refuse to take it down and you refuse to apologize, you should be outed from office. Period. And some of these members of the squad are despicable with their anti-Israel rhetoric and their statements of misinformation. If you have your opinions on something, even though I might disagree with you, that's different. That's not what I am talking about. I am specifically talking about misinformation. Remember, we had all the misinformation about COVID. We still have misinformation about COVID. Misinformation about the 2020 elections. And Democrats up in arms about that, rightfully so. I was up in arms about it. I still am. I'm still disgusted that Donald Trump lies about the 2020 election. I'm still disgusted. But I am just as disgusted at members of the squad for lying because they know that Israel was not a part of this. I am not saying that Israel isn't responsible for the deaths of innocent people. Of course they are. But in this specific situation, they are not. And it is disgusting. Where is Hakeem Jeffries? Where is Joe Biden? Where are the leaders of the Democrat Party calling out these despicable people? Because that's what they are. They're despicable. And Tlaib, she wants to have her Palestinian flag outside of her office. Fine, whatever. But can you be blatantly more anti-Semitic than Tlaib and Ilhan Omar? There is no place for these people in the Democrat or the Republican Party. It's a joke. It's a sad joke is what it is. And it's disgusting. And I've had it. I talk a lot about Republicans on this show. I have a lot of criticism for Republicans. Kevin McCarthy, no backbone. What's going on with Jim Jordan, it's a joke. And the people on the extreme right, like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the MAGA Republicans out there, they're all despicable. I talk about that every single day. Let me tell you something. Members of the squad, just as despicable. Just as despicable. If you're going to call out one side, you got to call out the other side. We have blatantly anti-Semitic people in Congress right now, and a few of them happen to be Democrats. Where is Hakeem Jeffries on this? Where is he? I'm sick of it. I am absolutely sick of it. What would happen, like, let's just say if there was white supremacists out there, and I don't want this to happen, sadly it has, that kill people because of the color of their skin. I like Hakeem Jeffries, okay? I'll be clear on that. I like him. But he would be the first one to call this stuff out. And what if a member of his Democratic Party defended the white supremacist? Hakeem Jeffries would be the first person outspoken about this. Where is he here? Hakeem Jeffries should be holding a press conference today and denouncing Tlaib's statements on social media and Ilhan Omar's statements. Why? Because that's what leadership looks like. Are you afraid you're going to get somebody angry? Republicans have been kissing the ring of Donald Trump's forever. Where's that gotten them? You think Hakeem Jeffries is going to lose power because a couple members in the sitting congresswoman are going to have a problem with what he says? Guess what? The overwhelming majority of Democrats will say, that's great leadership, Mr. Jeffries. That's great leadership. You want to be the president one day? That's how you show leadership. Call out certain members of your own party. Tlaib is despicable. And yes, she shouldn't be in Congress. Neither should Ilhan Omar. And while I disagree with Ocasio-Cortez's statements, and she's also anti-Israel, even she didn't go to the lengths that Tlaib did yesterday on social media. It's astounding to me. And then Tlaib, being the coward that she is, won't answer questions from the media today. Walking and prancing through the hallway with her staff member, asked questions about Hamas, won't even answer that. But the second she thinks that there's an opportunity to go after Israel with misinformation, don't get me wrong, make no mistake about it, Tlaib is hoping that Israel was responsible for this. She's been hoping. And she's wrong. When are people finally going to understand, not just throughout the world, but in this country, that Hamas is willing to kill its own people? And they are, and they have. They're using Palestinians as human shields. They don't care about Israelis. They want Israelis killed. They don't care about their own people. They don't care about Palestinians. They have no regard for human life. When are people in this country going to understand that? I think some of them do, but some people in this country don't. What part of a terrorist organization do you not understand? This is a terrorist group that wants to kill as many innocent people as possible, and they don't care and have no regard for human life. You think they care that over 500 people died in a hospital in Gaza? I bet you they're just, oops, sorry, my mistake. They don't care. The Israeli government is not going to just shoot missiles into a hospital in Gaza. I am not saying that they are completely innocent in all of this, and I am not saying that innocent people are not going to die. But make no mistake about it, Israel is defending themselves because of a terrorist attack by Hamas. And yes, not every Palestinian is innocent in all of this. There are some Palestinians that not only believe that Israel should cease to exist, but support Hamas. When there are people in Palestine that should understand, and sadly some of them don't, that if Israel demolishes and gets rid of Hamas, it's better for the Palestinian people. It's better for the Middle East. It's better for the world. I'm going to open up the phone line, 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. I want to hear from you. Do you think I'm wrong here? Do you think Tlaib was right? 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to JD. JD is first.
Thank you, Brian. A little bit more information, if I may, on Mr. Jeffries. He was tutored and mentored by his uncle, a college professor, who was definitely anti-Semitic on the record many, many times. The New York Times came out with their headline blaming the Jews for the attack on the hospital. Other newspapers, as you're probably aware, the colleges of Harvard and Yale and hundreds of other colleges students have all come out in protest supporting the terrorist Hamas. It's definitely a growing trend in this country of the anti-Semitism that has just been going on and on, that is despicable for the last 10 or 12 years. You talk about Tlaib and the gal from Minnesota, I forget her name, from Somalia, then Cori Bush from Missouri, and a multitude of them.
Okay, but let me stop you for 1 second. While I have called out certain Democrats, you are making it sound like it's only coming from the left. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know of any particular.
What about the man that you voted for, Donald Trump, who decided to have dinner with a neo-Nazi white supremacist?
Well, why don't you also talk about his son-in-law, who's Jewish, his grandchildren?
Can you? Jewish. Okay, so you just want to ignore what I just said. You just want to talk.
No. But look at the whole picture.
I am looking at the whole picture. He had dinner with a neo-Nazi white supremacist. Why are you not willing to also call that out?
We're not. He's not against the Jews. You know that.
No, I don't.
What he did with the Abraham Accord.
Anybody who is willing to have dinner with a known neo-Nazi white supremacist is somebody that I would categorize as somebody that is not on the side of the Jewish people. The point I'm trying to make is I agree with you when it comes to Ilhan Omar and when it comes to Tlaib. I absolutely agree with you.
Let me ask you a question. In regard to these Democrat people that are against them, we have 5 Democrats in Nevada: Dina Titus, Horsford, Rosen, Lee and Master. Why don't you get some of their opinions?
Well, I do. They come on the show from time to time.
I know. That's what I'm asking you. Why don't you get Dina Titus and
because when
and
you
Rosen,
because the way
Rosen's a Jew.
Sure.
Rosen is
why don't we call it Jewish? I think that's a little bit disrespectful to say Rosen's a Jew. So why don't we put an ish on that? Let's start there, JD. And I do have something else, and I don't want to make this personal, but you've called into other radio shows, and you've claimed that I'm not willing to debate other people, which is the furthest from the truth. And when you call into another show,
I claim you're not willing to debate me on the air.
You're not. Guess what?
You do.
Here's the thing. That's not what you said on another radio show. Number two,
I don't
believe
so.
Excuse me. You're not a politician. Nobody knows who you are, and I don't request to have debates with. You can laugh all you want, but nobody knows who the hell you are. I actually debate actual real politicians and people that are running for office. So I'm sorry if you think I'm afraid to debate somebody like you. I'm taking your phone call, but when you call into other shows and lie about me, that makes you a coward. I am not a race baiter, but guess what? People aren't calling into this show talking about other hosts, so I'm glad I live in your head rent-free. I'm happy to have a conversation with you, and you can call in any time.
Brian,
but guess what?
You're
a coward.
Debate me. You will debate. Why am I a coward?
Because you call into other shows talking trash about me because you're an idiot. That's why.
And you want to know the reason?
Yeah, because you're a coward. Have a nice day. I just hung up on you because you're a coward. That's why. And you're a wannabe, and you've always wanted to do a radio show, but never had the opportunity to do so. It's why you begged me to be my fill-in co-host when I was gone, and I said no because you're talentless. That's why. So go ahead and keep calling into other shows and trying to blast me. Go ahead. Keep it up. Fun to live in your head rent-free, JD. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. It's funny how people like that are the first people to attack Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, which, by the way, I don't have a problem with. But when Donald Trump has dinner with a neo-Nazi white supremacist, they don't want to talk about that. Oh, Trump can't be anti-Semitic because he has family members that are Jewish. Folks, do you notice the biased buffoonery in that guy's phone call? 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Paul, why don't we go to Paul next? Hi, Paul. Thanks for calling in to Pushing the Limits. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
That guy fires me up. The guy calls into every other radio show in Las Vegas, trashing me. You don't debate me, and I still take his call. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, and honestly, I think that we actually need more shows like. And I'm not saying that your opinion's perfect all the time, and mine's always perfect.
It's not. I would never claim it is.
Right, and you call out both sides, and I think we've lost that. Like the former caller, right? He never calls in and criticizes Trump when he bangs a porn star and calls himself a Christian,
right?
Or when he sexually assaults a woman.
Right.
But the moment you mention anything about a Democrat, he's the first one to call in and be on your phone call, and that's the hypocrisy of it.
It's called right wing. It's called right wing bias buffoonery. That's what it's called.
It's insanity. But I definitely think like this is a good conversation because. Like I said, who was the gentleman that's under investigation, the senator in like New Jersey or New York that was like doing favors for the Egyptians or something like that?
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, whatever his name is. But his approval rating is at 5%, right?
Yeah.
Donald Trump rapes a woman, steals top secret documents, calls John McCain a loser, and he goes up to 60% approval.
You're so right, Paul. You're so right. And the last guy who called in, Paul, is a perfect example of what I'm talking about and what you're talking about. Example. I'm calling out Ilhan Omar and Tlaib and even calling on Jeffries. And I'm criticizing a few Democrats because they're despicable. And when the guy calls in and when I bring up Donald Trump having dinner with Kanye West and a known neo-Nazi, does he say, yeah, that was wrong, that was terrible? No. He defends Trump and he says, well, Trump has some Jewish people in his family. That is the biased buffoonery that is part of the fringe right wing, and they don't even understand it. They don't even understand how biased. Why can't we call out both? Donald Trump having dinner with a neo-Nazi is awful, it's anti-Semitic, and it's terrible. And what Ilhan Omar and Tlaib are doing when it comes to Israel is also disgusting. Right. Why can't we call out both?
Now, do you think that they actually believe what they're saying, or do you think they're just doing it because they're stuck in a tribe? Because it's like
good
it's
question.
like if I tell a lie,
Yeah.
Brian, right? Like, hey, Paul just told a lie, but Brian told a lie. His lie was way worse. Well,
right.
That's great. That doesn't justify my lie. And every time you ask him something about Trump, they always deflect to somebody else.
Paul,
like,
it's a good question. It's a good question,
if Joe
Paul.
Biden lies, it justifies his immorality.
It's a good question, Paul. Let me try to answer it the best I can, and it's a tough question to answer. I think some people are so radicalized in the far-right MAGA world that when Donald Trump says I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, they'll still vote for me. Those people are so far gone and radicalized, you can't. I think there's another portion of the Republican Party that are just liars, where they know certain things are not true, but they say them anyway, like the Jim Jordans of the world, who knows that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, but they still. So I think there's two different sides to it. People that know right from wrong, but they lie, and then people that are radicalized. I have no idea with that last caller which side it's on. It could be a little bit of both, but there are people that are just so radicalized and so far gone, you can't bring them back to reality.
So last question, I know you got other callers to take, but I saw this really good clip, and I voted for Romney. I voted for Republicans. I voted for Democrats. I voted for Ross Perot. I'm kind of like, I picked the best candidate. Romney said something like, listen, who do you hear about? You hear about the Jim Jordans and the Lauren Boeberts. They can't even tell you one bill that they passed because Jim Jordan has never passed a bill.
He is a guy that rips
a bill.
You're absolutely correct. He rips bills apart, and he's known to never pass a bill. You know, Mitt Romney said it best in an interview the other day. He said, I wouldn't vote for Jim Jordan because Jim Jordan is a guy that likes to give people headaches. I'm paraphrasing here. He's very loud. He likes to bark, but he's not a serious lawmaker because he doesn't want to pass any laws. And Mitt Romney's 100% right. And it's really sad. Hey, Paul, it's always good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate the call.
Can I say one last thing?
Go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
The last thing I'll say is it sums it up best in the Christian Bale Batman movie when Alfred is talking to him about the Joker. And Bruce is trying to figure out, like, what does he want? Does he want fame? Does he want women? Does he want money? And Alfred said it best. He goes, Mr. Wayne, some people just want to watch the world burn. And I say this as a former Republican. These people like Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they just want to watch it burn, and then they want to blame the Democrats when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, there are Ilhan Omar and Tlaib. They're actually blaming Joe Biden for this situation in the Middle East. That's
ridiculous.
It's despicable is what it is. Paul, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Later.
Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. You're watching on social media, wherever you are. I will take your phone call, whether you agree or not. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Shay. Shay is next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Shay?
What's going on? I need to. Did you see the episode a couple of days ago on Hannity, where he was kind of exposed, where he was really exposed about how he was trying to threaten those Republicans?
Yes, sir. I think
dealing with this House Speaker race.
I think and we were going to get to that a little bit later on in the show because I do have some audio to play. But yes, what Shay is referring to is Sean Hannity's producer sending emails to all the Republicans that apparently were not and did not vote for Jim Jordan. In essence, it's not journalism because Sean Hannity's not a journalist. It was him trying to pressure people and bullying people into voting for Jim Jordan.
I'm going to tell you something, man. That is one POS horrible human being, Brian.
I don't disagree.
I mean, I got to tell you something, man. It's just, and you notice, like, and for all these people talking about Fox, and you notice that Sean Hannity brings certain Republicans on there. He's not going to bring those moderate Republicans on there because a lot of them, I can tell you, I think a lot of them just don't stand them, But it just, I'm so happy, even though I can't stand the Republican Party, I am so happy that these moderates are finally making a stand in this speaker's race.
Some of them are, but I'm not going to. But hold on, I'm going to push back a little bit on what you said, Shay. I'm not going to give them too much credit because these are the same people that would still vote for Kevin McCarthy. They would vote for Steve Scalise. So I understand why you're saying that, and I get where you're coming from. But I'm not going to give these Republicans a lot of credit because if it's not Jim Jordan, it would be Kevin McCarthy or Scalise, who are also referring to the same name that you named Jim Jordan. So Gymnasium Jordan. Let's call him that.
I gotta say, who you think? I think they're gonna have to probably, I wouldn't. what do you think of Liz Cheney? Even though, oh my God,
Well,
the war.
She's not in office right now, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because even though I disagree with just about everything she stands for politically and policy-wise, I have respect for her. Just like I have respect for Mitt Romney and Adam Kinzinger, because they did the right thing and they were willing to put their power in politics aside for right versus wrong. And I will respect anybody who does what Liz Cheney did. I would take her in a heartbeat over any of the other people that could be the House Speaker.
You know what I think of Sean Hannity? It's like you're running a business, Brian. It's like you're running. It's like two different type of businesses. You have a Walmart and you have a small mom and pop shop. Fox News has been biting the bullet for Sean Hannity and also these other, all these other right-wing anchors on the shows. And they've basically been biting the bullet. It's like you're running a grocery store and a big grocery store is able to take a loss.
It says it all, doesn't it, though? Doesn't it say it all about when a guy like a Sean Hannity on his show says that he believes Democrats stole the 2020 election, but then when he's under oath says that he believed Donald Trump was full of you-know-what? I mean,
I think he's a racist. I think he's a racist.
Well, Laura Ingraham certainly is. Tucker Carlson certainly is. I can give you direct quotes to prove that they are racist. Sean Hannity is a guy that only cares about one thing, Shay. He cares about ratings. He cares about money. The two go hand in hand.
He don't care about poor people. But you remember a lot of people don't know the old Sean Hannity. Remember his first radio gig he had?
I do. Filling in for Rush Limbaugh. I do.
You remember when he said something about a lesbian? It was a lesbian that called in or something like that. And guess what they did? They fired him. They suspended him and they fired him.
Sean Hannity's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Tucker Carlson's a bad guy. Laura Ingram's own brother won't even talk to her. There are a lot of bad people on that network. And there are some good people that I disagree with. But I would say Sean Hannity's a bad guy. You're not, Shay. I appreciate you for calling in, as always, my friend. Thank you so much, okay?
Thank you.
All right, you take care.
Thank you.
702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Anthony, who is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Anthony.
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
Doing good, Anthony. What's on your mind? Thanks for calling in.
Good. I was just wondering, I kind of missed the beginning conversation about what happened with Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. If you could kind of
I will gladly
what happened.
I will gladly do that for you because this is important. I was going to do that anyway. So in regards to the bombing that took place in Gaza, where over 500 people died in that hospital, Tlaib and Omar and a few select others immediately blamed Israel for the bombing without having any evidence or knowledge that took place. Now we've learned through evidence, not just from the IDF, but from our own intelligence and video, that this was Hamas, that this was a missile, that the geolocation, the timing of the footage is very conclusive, and it shows a rocket launch, a failed rocket launch by Hamas that hit the hospital. The evidence is overwhelming, and yet Tlaib hasn't taken down her tweet. She's doubled down on it, and Omar hasn't called out Hamas either, and I think it's just despicable. And I also criticized Hakeem Jeffries, to this point, not speaking out on people in his own party. I think it's wrong, and it shows a lack of leadership.
Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Of course, it's important what's going on over there. I know this is a very volatile conversation and subject, so I just wanted to be upfront when I say this. I have the utmost respect for you and this radio show. I love listening to this radio show every day. But I was just curious as to what your opinion on what the other side of this conversation is saying, and I want to obviously tread carefully. Sure. But I was just curious as to what your opinion is as to what. Obviously, everything can't be, well, it's just them.
Right.
And so I was just curious as to what your opinion is as to what the information coming out from the Palestinian side of people are. And also, I wanted to ask you personally if you believed in the story about the beheading of children and babies.
Yes, I do. And the reason why I believe that is because these people of Hamas are raping kids. They're raping mothers in front of their kids. They're executing people in front of their families. When you have people that have no regard for human life, I absolutely believe that. And there's videos of them taking babies and kidnapping babies, number one. Number two.
I've seen those,
Yeah. So absolutely, I believe that. So number two, the second part of your question, I believe, the other side of the argument. So here's, there are Palestinians out there Many of them believe, not all of them, but a good portion of them believe that Israel should not cease to exist. It's hard to have a reasonable conversation with somebody like that when they do not even believe the state of Israel should exist. Now, does that mean they want a bunch of innocent Israelis dead? No. There are good Palestinians out there that do not want innocent people murdered. It could be their own. But then there are a portion of Palestinians that defend Hamas, that harbor Hamas, just like the Iranian government funds Hamas. So I think it's a mixed bag. There are good people in Palestine, and then there are people in Palestine that are anti-Semitic. But, that could be anywhere in the world. The problem is that Hamas is harbored by the Palestinians and the Iranian government. So it's hard for me to answer it in general terms because I think some people in Palestine have different opinions, and not all of them are bad people, and not all of them are anti-Semitic. It's a mixed bag.
Got you. Okay, and this is kind of where, I want to be very respectful and tread as carefully as I can without being disrespectful. I'm just genuinely curious as to your opinion on some things, because I've also seen videos of how obviously there are a bunch of Muslims in that part of in Arabs or Palestinians that are obviously anti-Semitic and do want bad things to happen to Jewish people.
Can I jump in and say this? And I'm going to make a comparison to America. If you remember, after 9/11, there were some Muslims across the world that were celebrating, but there were other Muslims, like good people in this country and throughout the world. There were good Muslims that were denouncing it, of course, and saying how disgusting it was. But there was a portion, maybe a small portion, of Muslims throughout the world that were cheering and having parades because almost 3,000 innocent Americans died. So there's always going to be bad people, no matter what religion, no matter where you're from. And it's a case-by-case basis. That's the best way I can answer it.
Okay, and this is kind of where, the question kind of gets a little dicey, and I just want to be respectful, like I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion I don't condone what Hamas did at all. I think it was literally evil in the definition of terrorism. But this is where I'm not Palestinian, I'm not Jewish, and this is where I'm genuinely curious to hear something from both sides, because I have been quite fascinated by this. Not fascinated, I'm sorry, that's an awful word to say. Intrigued about this war that's been going on that I didn't really know of until, all of this stuff came out. And this is kind of where my curiosity gets a little bit dicey, is that the stuff that I've been hearing from the other side, from the Palestinians, is how, I don't know, what is the word? How they've been oppressed for so long that anyone would assume that this terror cell would would come about due to the years of the oppression. And, I've read about things about how certain parts of Gaza is technically an open air prison. And, I don't have a side in the fight. And I just was genuinely curious because I wanted to hear your opinion, because most of the time the things that you speak of are very educated and informed, so you don't say things out of ignorance.
Well, I appreciate that. At least I try not to. And I'll answer your question. And I just want to say I appreciate your call. And you asked a bunch of really good questions, and I appreciate you calling in. You call back anytime, okay, my friend?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. To answer his last question, Gaza, it's just not worked. This has not worked out. Is there ever going to be peace in the Middle East? Probably not. Certainly not in my lifetime. There's a lot of hatred in the world. Israel wants to exist. If they didn't defend themselves, Israel would not exist. That's the bottom line. More innocent people would not be dying as we speak if a terrorist organization named Hamas didn't decide to kill a bunch of innocent people. Make no mistake about it, that's how this started, and that is not Israel's fault. Does that not mean that Israel doesn't have a responsibility to do their best to not kill innocent people? Absolutely, they need to do that. No question. But going back to what I said earlier, this bombing was not the fault of Israel. There's video evidence to prove that, where the bombs were coming from and where the responsibility lies on. Islamic Jihad terrorist organization. That's where this comes from. And Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are beyond irresponsible and despicable for their statements blaming Israel for this. Despicable. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck is next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Chuck? Chuck, are you there, my friend? Go ahead.
I guess you didn't. Yes, I'm here. You didn't get the memo
but the whole calling people racist thing, it's over. It doesn't work anymore. Everybody knows conservatives aren't racist. It's the left that is.
Okay, let's stop you right there. Let's stop you right there. Did you just make the statement that all Republicans and conservatives can't be racist? Is that what you're claiming, sir?
No, it's the left that's the party of
Sir,
racism,
answer my question. Sir, when you're going to make a blatant statement like that, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but you have to answer my question. So now I'm going to ask it for a second time. Are you claiming that if you're a Republican or a conservative, it's impossible for you to be racist? Is that what you're saying, sir?
I'll try to speak slow so you
No.
understand
Don't speak slow.
brain.
Don't speak slow. Answer the question. You're not going to insult me, buddy. I'm going to ask you now for the
Yes,
third time.
I'm
Pot him
trying
down.
to-
Pot him down, little brain. Now I'm going to ask you for the third time. And don't speak slow. It's yes or no. Answer the damn question. Are you telling me that if you're a Republican, shut up and listen. Are you telling me that if you're a conservative or a Republican, it is impossible for you to be racist? Yes or no? Answer the question now.
It's the left that's the party of
Okay,
racism.
so you're not going to answer the question. If you're not going to answer the question, sir, then I'm going to hang up on you. When you make a statement, I'm going to give you one more opportunity. You started this conversation claiming that it's only the left. So now let me ask you a question. Is David Duke, the leader of the Klan, is he a Democrat or a Republican? The shooter at the Texas El Paso shooting that killed a bunch of brown people, that put out a manifesto with his in favoritism for Donald Trump. Was that a Democrat or a Republican? The people that killed Ahmaud Arbery, who lynched Ahmaud Arbery, were those Democrats or were those Republicans? I'm going to ask you now for the fourth time because I'm not sure you're capable of answering a question, but you started it, and you started this conversation, which is a ridiculous statement, saying that if you're a conservative or a Republican, you can't be a racist. So now I'm going to ask you for the fourth time. Are you claiming that if you're a Republican or a conservative, that it is impossible, Chuck says, to be a racist? Is that your statement on this show?
Well, you're as emotional.
Answer the question.
So emotional.
Pot him down again. Pot him down again. Sir, I'm now asking you for a fifth time. It's called passion, sir. I'm passionate in calling out ignorant people. You made this, and see, here's the difference between you and me. By the way, there's a lot of differences. I'm educated. I have a college degree, and I actually I'm capable of calling out both sides. But here's a fundamental difference between MAGA people like you and me. I'm willing to call out both sides. Guess what? You could be a racist or you can be an anti-Semite, and you can be a Democrat or a Republican. There are bad people in this country on both sides of the aisle. But somebody like you who calls into this show is not capable of making a statement like that. Now, who has the tiny brain again, sir?
You.
Oh, thank you. You're very bright. Would you
MAGA.
like to answer the question, sir?
MAGA.
Is David Duke a Republican or a Democrat? The leader of the Klan for decades. Is he a Republican or a Democrat? Answer the question because you haven't answered one of my questions yet.
Are the people committing
No.
genocide
You don't answer a
Democrats
question.
or Republicans?
Pot him down again. You don't answer a question by asking another question. I'm now going to ask you again. Notice how this guy can't answer any of my questions because he backs himself into a wall with his ignorance. I'm now going to ask you that question again. Is David Duke a Republican or a Democrat? He's been the leader of the Klan for decades. Answer the question or I'm going to hang up on you. Is David Duke a Republican or a Democrat? Answer the question.
Hard to answer when you're.
Yeah, it is hard to answer when you have a small brain. Have a nice day, sir. God, what a Nimrod. I could use other names. The guy starts a conversation by saying, all the Democrats are racist, not the conservatives. How do you even have a conversation with somebody like that? By the way, to answer my own question, David Duke is a known Republican and the leader of the Klan. And as I say before, and I will say again, because anybody with an IQ over 20, I think, would probably agree with me, there are bad people that are Republicans. There are bad people that are Democrats. There are anti-Semites that could be Republicans or they could be Democrats. There are bad people, the opposite of what Donald Trump said. There could be bad people on both sides, and there are. And that's why I've called out Ilhan Omar today, and that's why I've called out Tlaib today. But when you have somebody call into a show making the claim that only one side of the aisle is bad and the other side of the aisle is good, you cannot have an intellectual conversation with somebody like that. You just can't, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-7283. That last caller was very special. Chuck was very special. All right, let's go to Carl. Carl is next. What's going on, Carl?
Yeah, Brian. Hi. Listen, you mentioned about Trump having dinner with a neo-Nazi, and a lot of people said that doesn't make him a racist. Well, actually, it doesn't, because you know what they had for dinner? Matzo ball soup.
You know, Carl, I know there might be some liberals and Democrats out there that maybe don't like what I have to say, but if you're a good Democrat, if you're a good liberal, then you'll understand where I'm coming from when I call out Tlaib. Her comments are despicable on social media when it's been proven that Israel was not responsible for this explosion at this hospital and killing over 500 people.
Well,
Yet
listen.
You agree with me on that? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, listen, really important. When this first happened, the Palestinians said it was an Israeli fighter jet who dropped a bomb on the area.
Right, that's a lie.
The kind of bombs they carry are very high explosive, would leave a huge crater.
Right.
There was no crater on the outside area, so it was not a bomb from the Israeli fighter jet.
It was not, and that's been proven already based on video evidence. But yet Tlaib, not only does she not take her tweet down, but she doubles down. Any decent human being with any type of responsibility at all would apologize and say, geez, I got it wrong. I rushed to judgment. Guess what? Keith Olbermann did that. He went on Twitter yesterday and he blamed Israel. And then he retracted today and deleted and apologized because that's what a decent – listen, we're all not perfect, right? We all make mistakes. But Tlaib is not going to delete that tweet, I guarantee you, unless maybe Hakeem Jeffries and Joe Biden call her out. Then maybe she'll take it down.
Well, the last thing the Israelis would do is bomb either a school or a hospital or anything like that. They would bomb definitely terrorist headquarters and stuff like that. They would never do that. And like I said, there was no bomb crater. There was nothing there. So it was their own rockets who hit their
Carl, you're 100% right, my friend, and it's sad that we have elected officials in office that are so irresponsible with their rhetoric, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Carl, I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you so much. I got to get to some other callers. I also have people on social media ask me for the number, even though I've given it out quite a few times. I'll give it out again. If you want to be a part of this conversation right now, here's how you call in. Area code 702-221-SAVE. That's 702-221-7283. I'll give out that number one more time, and you're welcome to call in. 702-221-SAVE. If you want to call into the show right now, I will take your calls in this segment. Let's go. I believe we have Gary next on the line, right? Gary, you're next on Pushing the Limits. What's going on?
It's been a long time. This is Lucifer. We haven't spoken in quite a while.
Okay, Lucifer, what can I do for you today?
I know you're an anti-Trumpite. I'm not for Trump either.
Well,
I don't want
to listen. It's not that I'm anti-Trump. I'm more anti-bad people. And Donald Trump's a bad guy. He's bad for the country. He's bad for our, protecting our democracy, our Constitution. He's a really, really bad guy. I'm anti anybody that's really, really bad. Guess what? Before Donald Trump ran, I didn't have a problem with Donald Trump before he ran for office. He was just another rich guy who did reality TV, and I really didn't think much of him. But when he decided to run for office and become a politician, that's when I had a serious problem with him.
Yeah, but the main point I'm calling is because you threw away your life when you decided to listen to Howard Stern when you were a young man in school. You could have got an education. You could have been somebody.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let's backtrack a little bit. And we're getting a little off kilter from actually the topic at hand. But I do have an education. I do have multiple degrees. I did go to college. And I'm doing what I love to do. So I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I'm not yelling at you right now. You just made a statement. When people say things that are dumb and when they say things that are not factually accurate, I call them out on it. So I'm sorry if you don't like that, but you just said I should have gotten an education. I have an education, and there's nothing more in the world I'd rather be doing as a job than doing a radio show. So you're completely incorrect. Now, would you like to talk about...
You could have been a coach. Where's my buddy Chris Wynn today?
I could have been a coach. All right, I'll try to coach people like you.
A basketball coach. Basketball
so I'm going to be a radio coach
right now. You could have been anything
I'm going to be a radio coach right now. Now I'm going to be your coach. When you call into a radio show, you stay on topic, and you talk about the thing that the host is talking about, not his education and not his career. We're talking about Middle East. We're talking about Talib. We're talking about Omar. We're talking about the false statements that people have made on the left. Okay, so let's be on topic.
That makes boring radio. I agree with you.
Okay,
I want to argue with you because it makes it more fun and interesting.
I actually think it's boring radio when you call into the show, so have a nice day, sir. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283 if you'd like to call into the show. Let's go to Edward. Edward is next. What's up, Edward?
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
Going all right, my friend. Going all right. Some of the callers getting me fired up as usual.
Sounds like you need a Snickers.
What I need is semi-intelligent people on the right. That's what I need. But anyway, what's on your mind today, my friend?
You know, man, honestly, I don't think the war in Israel versus Hamas, I don't really care for it. It has nothing to do with us, realistically. I know we've had 2,000 troops there. I believe they might be deployed out there. But what is the essential? What does the U.S. gain out of this war between them two?
What does the U.S. gain? Well, I will start.
Yeah, what
did we gain out of taking out Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden? Did we gain anything?
Oil.
A little bit more than that, wouldn't you think? Maybe our safety, the safety of this country and the world, getting evil, murderous terrorists off the planet. If Hamas is destroyed, it's not only good for Israel; it's good for the world.
But there's always going to be an enemy out there for everyone.
So if there's always going to be,
we're always going to have somebody.
Okay, but Edward,
there's always going to be some.
Okay, but Edward, hear me out.
If
we took the attitude of that after 9/11 and we put our arms in the air and we said, you know what, there's always going to be an enemy out there. Let's not go into Afghanistan. Nobody would be okay with that. It's no different here.
Sure. Yeah.
You wouldn't have. Go ahead.
I was listening to what you were saying a minute ago about, Hamas killing people. We kill people every day in the United States. We do drunk driving. We do homicides. We do love triangles that end up bad. I mean, we're doing bad things in the United States just as bad, but not probably on that scale.
Okay, so there's a difference between a domestic violence case or a person that is a murderer in this country that murders an innocent person or persons, and then a terrorist.
Killing.
But then a terrorist organization and a number of people that want to just take out a race of people. They're both awful. They're both wrong. But I don't think you can compare Hamas to individuals in this country doing bad things. I can't make that analogy. I'm sorry, I just can't.
No, it's cool. And genocide is a terrible thing. Just the word itself is scary. You're wiping out a whole race, a whole generation.
Right.
To think about that, that's scary as hell to think about. To use even that word, even when people bring it up like Hamas, they're saying, "Oh, genocide." Like, dude, you're trying to wipe out something forever. It's incredible, incredibly scary. That's what I'm going with that.
All right. No, listen, Edward, I understand where you're coming from. There are bad people all over the world. I think we could agree on that.
Of course.
That do bad things. But certainly this is Israel's 9/11, and I think we need to be behind the state of Israel, and they have a right to defend themselves. Edward, it's always good to hear from you, my friend, and I do appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, Brian, take it easy and eat a Snickers, dude.
I might have a Snickers next break. Thank you for the call. I appreciate that. 702-221-7283. Folks, it's called passion. I mean, you can listen to some people on the radio that don't have any passion at all. I'm just not one of those people. I have passion. I'm I have conviction with my opinions, and that's the way I am, and I don't apologize to anybody for that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Ahmed is next. Ahmed, hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I am doing good, Ahmed. How are you?
I have been following you on TikTok for a long time. I'm a big fan.
I appreciate
love you so much.
Thank you.
You're an amazing human being.
Thank you.
You made that last post about the Palestinians. All the Palestinians want to get rid of Israel.
Well,
and that's not true.
Well, hold on.
Let me talk.
Okay, I will let you talk, but you just said something that's not true. I'll give you plenty of time. I never said every Palestinian wants to wipe out Israel and doesn't think what I did say is there is a good portion of Palestinians that feel that way. You disagree? There's a difference, right? Let's just be fair. There's a difference.
Okay.
Okay?
And they are minority, just like MAGA in this country. See, the PLO, it's leftist group in the West Bank. It tried to make like peace with Israel. And what Israel did, assassinate the prime minister of Israel in the 90s. Is that right?
Yes, but I disagree with you fundamentally. Well, hold on.
In 2019, 1 second. In 2019, Benjamin Netanyahu was caught in a video, said we need to fund Hamas so we can keep the Palestinian divided. Did you see that video?
I did not see that statement.
You can look it up.
I did
not.
Can
look it up.
Okay, I did not see that. But let's try to focus on today, if that's okay, Ahmed. Do you agree? Okay, let's try to start with where we agree on, because I think we'll probably agree more than we disagree. Can we agree that what Hamas is a terrorist organization and what they did is disgusting? Can we agree on that?
What Hamas is, what Hamas has been doing is despicable. So what Israel has been doing to the Palestinians for 75
Okay, but hold on.
years.
But that wasn't my question. I just want to start with where what we agree on. We agree that Hamas is a terrorist group, okay? Okay, good. So we agree on that.
Hamas. They are son of a bitches. They are radicals.
We agree.
Do not represent the Middle Eastern people.
We agree. We agree 100%. All right, now let's go to number 2. Do you also agree that after this attack on Israel, that Israel does have the right to defend themselves? Would you agree with that? I'm not saying kill innocent people.
Because Israel is a sovereign nation. However, Israel ignored the intelligence from Egypt, because I believe Israel wants to wipe out Gaza. Okay, this is number one, because the military did not do anything for 6 hours after Hamas attacked Israel, and you have the most intelligence the Mossad.
Well, there's no question that there were intelligence failures, and that needs to be investigated. But I will also say, and I respectfully disagree with your premise that it's only a small minority of Palestinians that want Israel cease to exist.
I'm from Middle East, okay, and I have a lot of Palestinians, and like 99% of them, they want to make peace with Israel. I swear to God, okay?
Okay, well, I would disagree with that.
Let me tell you why. Because these people are tired. And also, can you imagine, what Netanyahu has been doing? They, established the settlers to attack people on the West Bank.
Can I ask you a question then? Can I ask you a question?
Is that right? Can I come to your home and kick you out?
Okay, let me ask you a question. If that's true, and if what you're saying is true, and if 99% of Palestinians want to make peace with Israel, then why are they not helping Israel in wiping out Hamas? Why are they not teaming up and taking? Because I think that if Hamas is gone, it's not only good for Israel, it's good for the Palestinians as well. Why are they not teaming up with Israel?
Where is Hamas right now? Where is Hamas right now?
They're all over the place. They're all over the place.
No, they are in Qatar.
A lot of them.
States, let me tell you something. The United States went to Pakistan to wipe out who? Bin Laden. Israel can do the same thing and go to Qatar, wipe out these motherfuckers.
Whoa. Watch the language. Watch the language. We can't swear on this show. So listen.
They don't want to do this.
Okay, well.
Okay,
listen.
Qatar is an ally with the United States of America, right? They can declare these, the leaders, terrorists and all that stuff, and they can take them out with minutes.
I think this is a
no Hamas people big members in Gaza.
Okay. Well, here's what we know for sure.
People.
Ahmed, here's what we know for sure. The Iranian government has been funding Hamas for decades. They can't get any help from us anymore. I'm done. That's number one. Number two, I don't agree with your premise. I respectfully disagree with you that 99% of Palestinians want peace with Israel, because if that was the case, we would hear more from the Palestinian people about that. We're not, and we don't hear anywhere near enough Palestinians calling out Hamas either. And that's why I disagree with what you're saying. Listen, I want what you want. It sounds like we both want peace in the Middle East. Of course we do, right? I don't want innocent people to die. You don't want innocent people to die. We both agree that Hamas is despicable. So we agree fundamentally on many more things than we disagree. But I just disagree with you that, basically every single Palestinian person is not anti-Israel and wants to make peace with Israel. I'm sorry, I just disagree with you. I think the proof is in the pudding there. But hey, let's hope that Hamas is taken out, because it ain't good for the Palestinians. It ain't good for Israelis. It's not good for the world. Let's start on that premise and take it from there, I guess. Ahmed, I appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate the call. All right, we'll take more phone calls on the other side, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, that number is 702-221-7283. I appreciate all opinions and sides. Ahmed is a perfect example of that. It's good to have healthy conversations, as long as nobody's swearing. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services, from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. And tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Is your dog suffering from a sensitive stomach? Hi, it's Kelly the Cookie Lady from Mooch's Munchies. Our dogs had super sensitive tummies, and I needed to find a low-fat treat that wouldn't give them gas or other issues. Most of the treats on the market were loaded with fillers, chemicals, and chicken fat. Many of them weren't even food. Well, I knew I could do better, so I developed Mooch's Munchies, and I'm happy to be able to share them with you. Stop by our store or our website, moochesmunchies.com, and find out why we say that Mooch's Munchies are totally pawsome.
ZynWorld Premium CBD offers full and broad-spectrum CBD oil, extracts, and capsules which are designed to help you feel your best. Their products are sourced from the best organic hemp and natural ingredients on the market and are tested for quality, purity, and potency. They have a full range of items from health and wellness to beauty to pets. Call 725-205-9223. Visit online at zynworld.com or stop by their location at 9895 South Maryland Parkway and Silverado Range Parkway. Mention KSHP for 10% off in-store or use code KSHP online for 15% off.
Locally owned and operated, come on down to Academy of Hair Design located at 5191 West Charleston Boulevard, number 150, today to begin your career in cosmetology. There is something for everyone from cosmetology to nail technology. You will be able to have the hands-on training that is needed to succeed in this career field. Call 702-878-1185 or visit www.ahdvegas.com today.
The London Bridge Resort in Lake Havasu is the perfect place to vacation in style. Their beautifully designed suites include stunning views, a kitchenette, and free Wi-Fi. The well-reviewed and affordable resort has tons of amenities, including a breakfast buffet, kids camp, a 9-hole golf course, 3 pools, a marina, boat tours, a water slide, and a great nightlife scene. London Bridge Resort is centrally located in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Go to londonbridgeresort.com to plan your getaway today. London Bridge Resort, your Arizona oasis destination.
Hungry for the best barbecue in Las Vegas? Come out to the infamous barbecue and meat market, John Mole's Meats and Roadkill Grill in Las Vegas. John Mole's was featured on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Now take home delicious meat selections for your grill, and while you're there, grab a bite of the best barbecue in Las Vegas. With 2 locations now at Tom and Gowan or on North Decatur, you're sure to find the perfect meats for your next barbecue or party. Find us online at johnmolemeats.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday, hump day, ladies and gentlemen. We got Big Mo, the Jolly Green Giant, Paul McKeskey, is going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. Broadcasting live on the FM AM dial, of course, live on TikTok, YouTube. Joe Walsh retweeted me this morning, and he's got like 500,000 followers, and I put up a clip yesterday of him going after Jim Jordan. It was very entertaining. Anyway, we got a special guest in studio today. If he's not training for his next boxing fight, he's Canelo Alvarez, also known, ladies and gentlemen, as Blake Gwynn from the Keller Williams Group, joining me in studio now. Blake, Canelo, thank you so much for joining us. My friend, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little fired up. We had some very
I can tell.
We had some very interesting calls.
When those veins get popping on that neck and the forehead.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of interesting calls. That is for sure, my man. I appreciate you being here, sporting your Bishop Gorman hat.
Bishop Gorman, just so you all know, I'm alumni. We are currently #1 in the nation for football. Here comes our 4th national championship, baby.
How about that?
That is amazing.
Yeah, a lot of quality football players and basketball players, by the way, coming out of Bishop Gorman.
Fantastic factory.
No question. So I don't listen to the radio very often in Las Vegas. All due respect to any radio station, I just would rather just listen to music. I don't know. That's just me. But occasionally I'll listen to talk radio from time to time, and I'm just going through the channels, and I guess there's a new show on another talk station in town with a conservative, as I like to call it, right-wing echo chamber radio, and they got Vivek Ramaswamy on the show. Now, Vivek came on the show a few weeks ago, and he'll be back on, and it was the biggest ass-kiss MAGA interview I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, it was pathetic, pathetic.
Who was the host?
I think his first name is Sam.
Oh, the Sam and Ash guy.
I think so.
On 840.
And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think this guy's ever done radio before. Probably never did a show. I don't know. But it was probably the worst interview I've ever heard. And I've heard some really bad ones. Like, not challenging Vivek on anything, ass-kissing each other. I mean, it was such an injustice to any listener. But, there are some people that don't care, that just do what they do and whatever. Anyway, so I want to. The reason why I'm bringing up Vivek is because Sean Hannity did a very interesting interview with him. It got a little combative.
Yeah, I remember.
And I want you to listen to this. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this clip up, and I'll explain after. But I want you to listen. It's Sean Hannity basically challenging Vivek and saying Vivek has no experience to be the next president. Have a
But
listen.
here's your problem.
People should
you
watch
go
it.
on these shows, people quote your exact words, and you deny your own words. And I'm saying if you're going to be a
Sean,
presidential candidate,
far from
and
it.
you're going to spend, I'm going to give you your exact words. Either
You're the ones,
own it,
Sean, you have been
or
sitting here for
pull it
years
back.
talking about the fake news media.
But you played this
You have
all the
Sean,
time.
I'm enjoying this. You have been laughing about the fake news media how many times for the last several years, and now you're buying the mainstream media narrative when you know how
Excuse me,
corrupt it is.
I am
This is a
following
corrupt
you.
game.
I am
The
quoting
super
your
PAC
exact
puppets
words.
are a problem.
Did I not quote your exact words?
About Azerbaijan
did I or
and
did
Armenia.
Did I or did I not quote your exact words? Did
About
I quote your
Azerbaijan
exact
and
words?
Armenia, absolutely.
Thank you.
About
Goodbye.
Azerbaijan, yes,
I got
you did.
time to go.
About a
Thank you.
different topic,
Thank you.
Azerbaijan, where people should actually
Well,
get their own information rather than filtered through centralized media.
I think it's asinine to think somebody that worked in the defense industry should not be qualified to be president. I think people that never held public office, like you, maybe they're not qualified to be president. Anyway,
Okay,
well,
so
but
let's take that direct quote from Sean Hannity. And by the way, I tend to agree with him. People who have never held public office maybe shouldn't be president. Who is the person that Sean Hannity has been brown-nosing for 8 years? He's a guy by the name of Donald Trump, who never held public office once, a reality TV star who is a failed businessman. And Sean Hannity never once made that same claim about Donald Trump. Now, again, I agree with Sean Hannity on this. Vivek doesn't have the qualifications, in my opinion, to be a president or even run for president. But where was that same criticism for somebody like Donald Trump?
Well, I'm actually going to disagree with you. I don't believe that you should have to have ran and held public office in order to run for the presidency.
I think it helps.
I think it definitely does help. I mean, you should also, probably should have some military background as well. But that's not the qualification of the job. Donald Trump was elected because he was a businessman. He was an outsider for that reason. Vivek, unfortunately, doesn't have the experience that Donald Trump, in my personal opinion.
But, okay, so let's go with that.
Right.
And that's a fair point that you're making. But the point that I am making is Sean Hannity is saying in his own words on his show, basically, if you haven't held public office, you shouldn't be president. And yet this is the same guy who has supported and continues to support the orange turd.
Right. I absolutely understand the hypocrisy of it. And
Yeah.
it's also why I don't watch the news. I don't watch Fox
That's
News.
why you're a
happier
man
I don't
than
watch
I.
CNN. But, the hypocrisy from Sean Hannity on that specific
Right.
topic is complete BS. You can't say Vivek doesn't have the experience for not running for office when Donald Trump never ran for office before. Or maybe he did run for office, but never held the office. But again, I just don't think that's a qualifying factor to run for president.
I just think he's such a blowhard, Hannity. I mean, he goes on TV with zero credibility. You know what he's done over the last several days is his producers, a directive from him, emailing these Republicans that he know is not going to vote for Jim Jordan to be the House Speaker, pressuring them and trying. It's not because he's doing journalistic reporting. It's because he's trying to bully and pressure these Republicans to vote for Jim Jordan. If a Democrat did that, if a Rachel Maddow did that, he would be the first one to be calling it out. This is the same guy who has said on his show years back that the Democrats stole the 2020 election. And then when Sean Hannity was under oath, when he had to tell the truth, he said that he knew that Donald Trump was full of crap when he said the election was stolen. The man has zero credibility. I don't know how anybody can take anything he says with a grain of salt.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, it's
I absolutely agree. I don't know where his ratings are in his show, but I know after Tucker left, all the ratings for Fox News kind of plummeted. My only criticism, my main criticism of Sean Hannity is if you're going to go that hard after Vivek or Vivek, is that you go that hard after Donald Trump as well. Have Trump on him, hold his feet to the fire. He needs to be president at these debates as well.
Nobody in the Republican Party will do that.
Well, grow a pair.
I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I couldn't name one person on Fox News or OAN or Newsmax that will go after Vivek Ramaswamy anywhere near as much as they would go after Donald Trump for the same issues. I guess it's here nor there. So I have talked about Nikki Haley a lot on this show. And I thought she had a pretty good first debate. I don't think she had a great second debate, but I do have more respect for Nikki Haley than I do a lot of other Republicans these days. And, I talked a lot in the first hour about what's going on in Israel, and we talked about that last time you were here, I believe. And, sadly, more innocent lives are taken, while we're having this conversation. It could be innocent Palestinians. It could be innocent Israelis. It's terrible. And the loss of life is awful. It doesn't matter which side you're on.
Don't forget about Ukraine and Russia as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, we had this horrible bombing, or I guess you could call it an explosion, whatever people want to characterize it, over this hospital in Gaza, where over 500 innocent civilians died. And we have members of the squad, particularly Ilhan Omar and Tlaib, who I think are despicable people. I've been calling them out for years. I don't think they should be in office. They're unfit for office, and they're anti-Semitic and hateful people who don't appreciate being in this country, in my personal opinion.
I absolutely agree.
Yes. And Tlaib goes on social media yesterday, and she blames Israel for these attacks. We've learned, based on intelligence, not just Israeli intelligence, but our own intelligence, and video evidence, that this was a failed rocket launch by Hamas.
It failed 70% of what it was supposed to go to. And apparently that happens roughly about 40% of the time that they have these failed rockets where they don't hit their mark. That's exactly what this was. It was a failed rocket attempt by Hamas. And then they tried to parlay it into blaming Israel. And then here you go. You have these extremists. You have them on both sides. But here you have the squad putting their foot in their darn mouth yet again.
So here's the difference between a guy like a Keith Olbermann and a Tlaib. Okay, I don't always agree with Keith Olbermann, but he goes on social media yesterday, and he also did that. He blamed Israel. Today, what does he do?
Hopefully he apologized.
He gets more information. He apologizes. He said he retracts his statement. He deletes his tweet, and he apologizes. He says, no, this was not Israel. I did this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Tlaib's tweet is still up there. And here's the difference. Keith Olbermann's a media guy. He's in the media. Influential, but he's in the media. Tlaib is an actual elected official. And my question, getting beyond Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, who, as I say again, I think are despicable human beings, where is Hakeem Jeffries on this? Where is the Democrat leadership? They're the first ones, and I don't blame them for calling out fake news. You know, I know Trump started that term, but, you know, with the 2020 election, with January 6th, they're the first ones that, you know, call out the nonsense. When it's in your own party, that's where it really shows who you are. Hakeem Jeffries has been silent on this, and I'm going to call out Joe Biden too. Well, I think I like his stance on Israel, and I think he said all the right things. I'm glad he's in Israel today. You need to call out certain members of your own party. That's a true leader. I don't expect any Republican to do that today, but I do expect Democrats to do that, and Hakeem Jeffries has not done that, and I think it's very disappointing. I don't think I know it.
It's incredibly telling. So you're absolutely correct. The Republicans don't call out each other up there when somebody does wrong, and right now you're seeing the Democrats pull a Republican card. The reason being, I don't know. Is it to protect their own? But Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, Joe Biden, Jeffries, nobody has stepped up and condemned what they said or asked them to make a public comment about it. It shows a lot about what they're doing right now.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's amazing to me that we don't see leadership on the left speak out against this sort of rhetoric. Listen, when Ilhan Omar made some borderline anti-Semitic statements like it's all about the Benjamins and that sort of stuff, Democrats spoke out. They spoke out against Ilhan Omar, and she was forced to apologize, which she did. Where are they here? You know, and just saying that I disagree with Ilhan Omar is not enough. This is dangerous, insightful rhetoric. It's blatant misinformation, and it needs to be retracted. And I'm very frustrated with the Democrat Party for not speaking out against these individuals that are despicable, and it's frustrating. And then there's Nikki Haley that comes to mind, and I want to play this clip for you. Nikki Haley's on the right side of Israel, and here's a woman who actually has a ton of experience.
Tons of experience.
And here is her take, Blake, on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and her take on Israel having the right to defend themselves and Hamas. Have a listen to this.
We saw some
First
of all, I said before.
Go ahead. Oh, do we have that clip?
This on your show last time. Wait until this starts and everybody's going to blame Israel for everything that happens. But the key is don't fall for it. Israel needs to do what Israel needs to do. What Biden needs to focus on and what I would focus on are three things. Support Israel, eliminate Hamas, and do everything we can to get the hostages out. Period. Don't talk about restraint. Don't talk about a ceasefire. First of all, I said this on your show last time.
So I agree with her 150%. She's on the right side of this, and I think most Republicans are. Take out Hamas. Israel has a right to defend themselves. Let's get these prisoners back home. You would never hear Tlaib or Ilhan Omar make a statement like that. Never. And here's a woman that has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to foreign affairs. And that's why I do have some respect for her. She's right. Why don't we hear more about that from Democrats? Why don't we hear more Democrats forcefully? There are some, but why don't we hear more from Democrats forcefully? And Joe Biden's one of them who's been speaking out and making some similar statements, which I give him credit for. But I just don't hear a lot about from prominent people on the left speaking like that. And Nikki Haley's right.
Nikki Haley is absolutely 100% right. You take out Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. They're thugs. You get back all of the prisoners, everybody that's been taken by war. You get them all back, and you just eliminate Hamas. And if the Palestinian people truly believe in their country and their cause, they would remove Hamas and move towards a peace treaty. Absolutely, that's what they should do. This war has been going on for far too long. When it comes to the Democrats not calling this out, I think it's on both sides. It's a lack of leadership. I don't see any leadership on either side that steps up and says, this is where we're going to take our party, this is what we stand for, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to call out anybody that's been doing anything or says anything wrong. That does not happen up in Washington. It's a lack of leadership.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed in Hakeem Jeffries, who, by the way, I've always admired him, and his silence is deafening. Not calling out. Listen, I had a couple callers in the first hour that were, again, attacking Hakeem Jeffries, which is fine. I agree on this issue. And, but there are some people that are claiming that everybody on the left is anti-Semitic and nobody on the right can be anti-Semitic. That's an absurd statement. And I say to these people, where were you when Donald Trump had dinner with Kanye West and a known neo-Nazi white supremacist? Why can't we call out both, right? If you don't call that out and you defend Donald Trump, which one of our moronic callers did, oh, but Donald Trump has Jews in his family. Like that has anything to do with anything.
Is that like saying I have a black friend?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
But that was this guy's defense.
Yeah.
A moron who said, well, listen, he's got Jews in his family. Can't be anti-Semitic. Let me tell you something. I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you're from. If you're having dinner with known Nazi white supremacists, you probably don't like Jewish people. Why can't we call out both? Why can't we call out the extreme left and the extreme right?
It's just the hypocrisy. I will tell you, I did not know Kanye's belief in his anti-Semitism. I had no clue. I can tell you that I stopped listening to Kanye after that whole incident. Had no clue about it. It's just you need people to step up and take charge and be okay with having your opinion out there and taking a little bit of heat for your opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I just want to hear people call out both sides because I think it's better for the country. If we could just get rid of the extremes on both sides of the aisle, which will be much harder said than done, then America's going to be a better place. It's going to be a better place to live. We're going to get more policies done, and I just think that's much. Who do we have on the line? I didn't see that name. I'm sorry. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul. Paul, what's going on?
You're still talking about Donald Trump. Is that the real problem? You are, you're still going to talk about Donald Trump.
Okay, so can I respond to that, sir, if I may? So last sir, that means I get to talk now. Okay, you made your statement. I'll keep you on the line. How a radio show works is you make a statement, and then I respond. Is that okay with you, sir? Is that okay? Can we have a conversation? Is that all right?
Go ahead. Try to make a response to this.
I will
Why
respond.
is Donald Trump a problem?
Sir, are
Why
you
is Donald Trump a problem?
Sir, are you gonna stop talking? Can I respond now? I just want to get your permission because it's your show, not mine. Can I get your permission? Can I respond to what you just said?
You're dumb, man.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm dumb. Okay, I'll keep you on the line though. Don't hang up on him. Keep him on the line. So he said, "Why?" I'm going to respond to both. First of all, I'm not dumb, sir. I have an education. I would question whether you do. So that's number one. Now, to respond to your very intelligent statement, which is, why do you keep talking about Trump? And by the way, for the first hour of the show, I'm not even sure I even mentioned Trump. I was talking about the squad, maybe once. Donald Trump, sir, I don't know if you're aware of this or not. You might be in the bunker like you claim Joe Biden was. Donald Trump is the front. Excuse me, sir, I'm not done talking yet. You get to talk when I'm done because it's my show and not yours. Donald Trump is the front runner of the Republican Party. Sir, you see, that means he's the leader of the Republican Party, and he's the guy that is going to be running against Joe Biden for the highest office in the land. Sir, you're still talking and you're not listening. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears and listen to what I have to say. Fox News is talking about Donald Trump. Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, OAN, Newsmax, and every right-wing pundit is talking about Donald Trump. Could be his legal issues, could be why they think he's going to be another great president. Everybody is talking about Donald Trump. So if you're going to criticize me for talking about Donald Trump, that's like saying, why are we all as human beings breathing air? Sir, why do you breathe air? How dare you breathe air? Now, would you like to comment and make something intelligent out of that statement, sir?
Dude, there's not even an argument.
So,
what are you talking about Donald Trump and MAGA for?
I just
Nobody
gave you
says
an...
MAGA.
Okay, pot him down again. Pot him down again. Sir, it's MAGA, not Magna. I don't know. Magna? I don't even know what that is. Sir, I'm going to repeat myself one more time, slowly and distinctly, while hopefully you can understand what I'm about to say. He's the leader of the Republican Party. It's the reason why most Republicans don't talk about Hillary Clinton, because she's no longer a politician and she's not running for office. Okay? I don't talk about George W. Bush anymore because he's not a politician and he's not running for office. By the way, I also don't talk a lot about Chris Christie because even though he's running for president, he has no chance to win. Okay? So does that make sense, sir? Or did you hang up the phone? Oh, that's too bad. I think he hung up the phone. Sir, I hope I could help you out there, and I hope I answered your question. Thank you so much for calling in. Next time you call in, I'll ask you why you breathe air. 702-221-7283 is the number. If you're going to criticize me for talking about Donald Trump, then you got to criticize every right-wing pundit out there for talking about Donald Trump. He is the face of the Republican Party, and this clown who just called in, I don't know if he's unaware of that or he's not very intelligent or uneducated. I don't know. How do I deal with that, Blake? I was very patient with that, man.
I've called into this show before when the first time I only did with Rhonda Kennedy. But to call in and just be so angry right off the bat and just be like, right? And like,
you sound like Macho Man.
You're not even getting your point across, and you're just coming across as an angry loon who is just has so much anger in your heart. What was the point of calling in? What are you accomplishing?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we learned two things from that caller. He doesn't want to hear about Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party running for president, and he thinks I'm dumb. Sir, thank you very much for making incredible points on this show. You sound like a Rhodes Scholar, very intelligent person, and you just call back anytime because I got to tell you, it's edge of your seat stuff, sir, when you call in. Thank you so much. The number to call, 702-221-7283. So some of the MAGAs that have called in the last 90 minutes, one guy called in and he said conservatives can't be anti-Semite.
False.
It's only people on the left. That's probably the most ridiculous comment I've ever heard. We have another guy who called in who was rightfully so, like I was, calling out Ilhan Omar and Tlaib, which I agree with, right? And even if I disagree with you, fine, fair to have a conversation about that. But then when I bring up Donald Trump having dinner with a neo-Nazi white supremacist, he made excuses for him and said, well, wait a second, Jared Kushner's in his family. And now we had another MAGA call in who said, why do you keep talking about Donald Trump? Folks, you can't make this stuff up. Yeah. You can't make... I love having reasonable conversations with Republicans. Blake is one of them. We have great conversations. And then there's the extreme MAGA portion on the right. You just can't have a conversation with them. It's almost impossible.
Impossible.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah. So, look, the reason why we talk about Donald Trump is because he is the front runner. He will be going up against Joe Biden should Joe Biden be able to stand and debate and go that route. It's we need to know what all their views are. He's in the news because he is the Republican front leader.
Right.
And if that's where you are, you're going to be talked about, and your past is going to be brought up, your views are going to be brought up, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Whether it's positive or negative, you got to sit back and take it. Don't call in and be angry about it. Accept it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That guy is probably the same guy who wants to talk about Hunter Biden's penis, the guy that's calling in and doesn't want to talk about Donald Trump. That's the same guy who probably wants to talk about transgenders.
And Carlos Danger.
Yeah, exactly. Carlos Danger. Yeah, exactly. I mean, guys like that. Don't bring up Donald Trump, but let's talk about Hunter Biden. That's the kind of guy that wants to.
If you're in the public light and you're running for office, you are fair game. I don't care who you are fair game.
Absolutely, no question about it. But, I don't talk a lot about former presidents if they're not running for office again. And they're not, I don't bring up Hillary Clinton very often. Now, it's okay to make a statement about a former president. Hey, Obama, I didn't like the way he did this or did that. There's nothing wrong with that. But when somebody's running for office again and they're actually the leader of the Republican Party, make no mistake about it, it ain't Jim Jordan or Matt Gaetz, okay? It's not Kevin McCarthy. The leader of the Republican Party right now is Donald Trump, and it's going to be that way for a long time. There's no question about that. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is area code 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Who do we got on the line? We got Mark on the line. Mark, what's going on?
Hi, yes. We're actually on the road in Idaho right now listening to your show. Is it modern technology is wonderful, isn't it?
How about that? That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, anyway, regarding your last callers, if they had two neurons that actually communicated with one another, they'd be double the intelligence of what they currently have. The reason I'm actually calling in is that, unfortunately, the idea of eliminating Hamas, I think, is unrealistic because, unfortunately, innocent people are going to be killed. They're going to be angry, and they grow up to be more of the same. When we eliminated slavery in this country, well, officially, legally, in around 1865, 66, and yet we still have racists and people who would just enjoy owning other people. You don't get rid of those people. You have to figure out how to make them less of a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And it's interesting because if we can go back to that last page, because I have a little bit of breaking news right now. Hundreds of American Jews right now are holding a sit-in at Congress. And apparently there are 1,000, maybe more, Palestinians that have gone into the chambers, and some of them are getting arrested as we speak. I don't know if I would characterize this as an insurrection, but there are Palestinians right now that are being arrested. And I remember what I was reading earlier a couple minutes ago. If we could go back to that, that would be great. Okay, thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters outside the United States Capitol right now as hundreds are gathering inside. And as we speak, Mark and Blake, they are being arrested. So this is pretty wild right now. As we're on the radio, this is going on right now. Breaking news.
Sure. I'll bet you, though, that none of those people are actually assaulting police officers or anything.
Well, I hope not. I certainly hope not, Mark. I don't know if that's true or not, but I certainly hope not.
Right. Oops, so that's okay.
Yep.
My car is yelling at me.
Well, Mark, I want you to be safe on the road. I'm glad you're listening out there in Idaho, my friend. My good friend, basketball coach Larry Eustace used to coach a team out there in Idaho. Great coach, and Idaho's very beautiful out there in Idaho. So please drive safe, Mark, and it's always great to hear from you, my friend, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope everybody keeps the civilized.
I would hope so too, Mark. Appreciate the call, my friend. 702-221-7283. Wow, Blake, this is kind of crazy. This is wild.
Amount of hate in this world
for
different groups of people, I just can't wrap my head around.
Yeah.
If you've got American Jewish people that are peacefully sitting in, and now you've got American Palestinian, I would imagine, that are rushing into the chambers.
I'm assuming that we're just getting this information but I'm looking at the
and
crowds.
I don't care if they're assaulting cops or not. If you're assaulting anybody, it's incredibly it's wrong.
Yeah, I think when you look at these signs that say ceasefire, and this is what I'm talking about. We had somebody that called in earlier that I believe his name is Ahmed. He seemed like a really nice guy, smart guy, but he claimed that he believed that 99% of Palestinians are not anti-Semitic. Listen, when you hold up signs right now that say ceasefire, after Israel's 9/11 pretty much takes place, and you expect Israel to not defend themselves, there would be no state of Israel. So I think that's absurd to think that. In a perfect world, would I like a ceasefire? In a perfect world, would I wish that, no more bombs, no more bombs? Of course. But Israel has to be able to have the right to defend themselves. All right. Should we take another call?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Trevor. Trevor is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Trevor.
I got a date with a hot 20-foot Nicaraguan girl. Yeah.
Did you just say it puts the lotion on?
Was that Darth Vader who just called into the show? I think it was. Thank you so much, sir, because listen, the first thing I think of when we're talking about life and death and innocent people being killed in the Middle East is to prank call a radio show. Sir, you sound like a very intelligent individual. I wish you luck with your MAGA gear. Thank you very much.
So, look, touching base on Brian, where the caller said that 90% of Palestinians don't want any, they don't want harm on the Israeli people. It's factually incorrect. Back in 2002, there was a public survey that was conducted. Almost 70% of Palestinians within the West Bank and Gaza believe that armed war is what was needed against the Israeli people. That has been going on for centuries, if not millennia, when the Jewish people in Israel have willingly given up their land to try to make peace. And all that the Palestinian people have done is rejected their offers. So Hamas has to be eliminated. Otherwise, what is the other solution? What that caller said. Oh, well, you can't just try to eliminate them. Then what is the solution? Do you just let it be by the wayside?
That's a good question, Blake. And I'll tell you what the solution isn't. When you have Israelis and Israeli Americans speaking in front of Congress and speaking to elected officials, and then you have thousands of Palestinians going into the chambers, that's probably not going to make things better. It's probably going to make things worse. If you want, I'm looking at if I could just read that, I'm looking at what's going on right now, and I'm looking at images of Palestinians in the House chambers right now. It's extremely crowded. That's what it sounds like. I'm not sure exactly what they're chanting, but I see signs that say ceasefire and pro-Palestine.
Is Congress sitting in the chambers, or is it just the protesters?
It looks like that's the lobby. If I'm reading right now of what's going on, let me read this. If you could. So hundreds of American Jews are holding this sit-in at Congress, and Palestinians are saying they refuse to leave. So long as this goes on. And they're chanting, pro-Palestinian, whether it be ceasefire or other things. And these Palestinians, at least some of them right now as we speak, are being arrested because they are not allowed in the chambers. You can't just barge your way into the chambers, just like you can't barge your way in on January 6th. It's not legal unless you have an appointment. So in the past week, over 3,000 Palestinians, including 1,000 children, were killed. And over 1 million people are displaced. Wow. But we also know that this would not have happened if Hamas didn't attack Israel. We know that would not have happened, and you can't blame Israel for every death. And that's my big issue with some these Palestinians, is that they want to put all the blame on Israel. Well, that is just not the case. Okay, Hamas is responsible. Islamic Jihads are responsible for this attack, or I should say this explosion at this hospital. All right, well, here's what we're going to do, Blake. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to switch topics. But welcome to take your phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call is 702-221-7283 if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits. We'll be back with Blake right after this on B.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. And tell them I sent you.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. So I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Big Dogs Brewing Company, open 24/7, is an award-winning brewery, a full-service catering business, and a fun, smoke-free brew pub restaurant with a full-service bar, including over 35 craft beers on tap, 35 multi-denomination slot machines, the best gaming promotion, and a lively, dog-friendly outdoor patio. Big Dogs Brewing Company, 4543 North Rancho at Gray. Find out more at BigDogsBrews.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a very fiery, emotional Wednesday on PTL. We got Blake Wynn in studio, the man wearing the Bishop Gorman hat, the Canelo Alvarez lookalike joining us in studio from Keller Williams. And you listen, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, man, and try to talk about some very difficult topics, some emotional topics. And while everybody's entitled to their opinion, they're not entitled to their own facts. You can tell that to Talib and Ilhan Omar and members of the squad that are angering me by the minute. I woke up today very angry that Democrats are not calling out some of the extremists in their party. Oh, the Republicans do the exact same thing. In fact, I think the Republicans are worse because actually if you're an extremist in the Republican Party, you get more power. Ask Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan. But anyway, welcome back to the show. I digress. Blake, you were just talking a little bit yesterday about big Vegas Golden Knights victory. I was at the game. The Dallas Stars are a very, very good hockey team, and that could be a preview once again to the Western Conference Finals. But
that was a fantastic game, an amazing deflection. I personally love shootouts. Shootouts to me are so exciting.
Do you really? I think there should be more 3-on-3.
See, I think I love shootouts so much because growing up, I watched the Mighty Ducks movies, and it was like, you know, even in their playoffs, they always had shootouts. And so it was always this incredibly tense moment. And I love it, man. It's so exciting.
So when I grew up, I agree with you. It is exciting. When I grew up as a Hartford Whalers season ticket holder back in the early 90s, mid-90s, they just had 5-on-5 overtime, and then there were ties, which is the worst. Like, you never want to go to a game where there's a tie. I do like the 3-on-3 hockey. It's to me, that's the most entertaining.
Super fast, super
so
fun.
entertaining, yeah. I wish there was a little bit more 3-on-3, and I know the guys are really tired, but I feel like there should be like 2 overtimes. That's just my personal opinion. But also, big game tonight. I would have to mention the fact that the Las Vegas Aces are playing Game 4 tonight in the WNBA Finals without 2 of their starters. So Chelsea Gray being the big issue that she's going to be out. She's their floor general. I would be shocked I really would if the Aces won tonight without two of their starters out there. And we know how good New York is. So I think the series ties up and it goes back to a Game 5 in Vegas.
It is coming back to Vegas for Game 5. Hopefully we can get healthy. I can't remember who's got the broken thumb or broken finger.
So Plum has a broken finger, and she's been very quiet on that.
Yeah.
But that's also got to affect her shooting. And, you know, you couldn't ask for this to happen at a worse time where you have injuries.
The Liberties, God, I'm spaced on her name. She plays the 5 position. She has got to be the best 5 position in the entire league.
Yeah,
she's a beast. Absolutely dominating.
She's a beast. She's the best center in the league. Listen, I know Asia Wilson is, in my opinion, she should be the MVP. I've always considered Asia Wilson more of a power forward than a center, but she can do it all. And I expect that they're just going to pound the ball underneath the basket. And listen, for the Aces to even be competitive in this game, I feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young and Asia Wilson. I mean, they all have to have.
They have to go hot like they did that very first game, that first quarter that they win.
And even if they are hot, I still think that New York wins. Let's not even forget. I mean, imagine if Asia Wilson or one of their starters on the Aces gets in foul trouble. I mean, that's another thing.
On a side note, what are your thoughts about the Liberties court?
Ugly.
I can't stand it.
Yeah,
when I'm
it's ugly. It's kind of like the Oregon Duck basketball court.
I agree with you.
It's ugly. It's distracting. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But there's probably going to be 20,000 people in there tonight.
It's a home game. It's an ugly court. It's a hostile environment. We're down players. I'm telling you right now, buckle up. It's coming to Game 5.
Yeah, I believe it will. And if it does go to Game 5, I do plan on sitting courtside with Vivica A. Fox again. So
can I get your media pass?
Yeah, it's got my face on it, but
we kind of look similar.
I'll get you a Canelo Alvarez media credential.
Done deal.
Then you get you a celebrity sitting. Actually, that would be really funny if we actually tried that. That would be very unprofessional. But if I said, "Hey, we got Canelo Alvarez,"
we can blame Chris Wynn on that one.
That would probably work because you look exactly like Canelo. It's crazy, but so I do think it'll be Game 5 coming back. The Major League Baseball playoffs in full effect. Been watching that. Texas Rangers playing some really good ball.
Great ball.
Just kicking butt against the Houston Astros, the cheaters, as I like to call them. So, and then Philly last night was on fire. The bats just woke up, and so that was fun to watch too. Always love watching Major League Baseball at this time of the year in October. It's always a great time. I always think it's better. Maybe I'm biased, but you need the Red Sox and the Yankees in there together.
Or my Dodgers, and they're out. But thank God I'm not an Angels fan.
Dodgers always seem to find a way to disappoint come playoff time. Huh? They always seem to find a way to disappoint. But that's always fun. The NBA season is about to start. And UNLV football, we were talking a little bit about that off the air. Nice job on the road against Nevada Reno. Yesterday on the show, we had Mr. Jesus, star receiver on UNLV. He joined us on the show yesterday. So that was a good time. And I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday against a pretty good Colorado State team.
We should be able to beat this team. We're going to be bowl eligible quicker than what we talked about. Quicker than I can remember, probably John Robinson eras with Jason Thomas as quarterback.
Yeah.
This could be the season like where we went to that last bowl game where we beat Arkansas with Jason Thomas. I mean, we're talking decades ago, but this team is incredibly exciting. The defense is playing well. The offense is rocking and rolling. You've got the local kid who's throwing the rock, protecting it. It's a good brand of football. I'm impressed with this coach. Barry Odom, I applaud you. I take my hat off to you.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job. He gets it. I liked him right from the beginning.
Sorry.
Take your hat off. Yeah, there you go. You know, listen, I'm going to pat myself on the back on this one. I'm almost always right, it seems like, when these coaches get hired, and I say right off the bat whether I think it's a good hire or not. Hated Marcus Arroyo. I don't use that term hate very often, but I couldn't stand him right from the get-go. Thought he was never going to work out here. TJ Otzelberger, he might be winning in Iowa, but he never wanted to be here. That wasn't the right hire because he never wanted to be here to begin with. I go back to the days of UNLV football of Sanford, who didn't get it done here. Bobby Houck did get us to a bowl game. I didn't think he was the worst of coaches, and he's very successful in Montana.
Lack of personality.
Yeah, maybe. Tony Sanchez, super nice guy, but let's be honest, he just didn't win games here.
I'm with you when the Marcus Arroyo hire. I was incredibly disappointed because, yes, he was the offensive coordinator for the Oregon Ducks, but let's be honest, that offense has been in place since Chip Kelly there.
Right.
And so, in my opinion, he really wasn't running the offense. It's just there. And he proved that because our offense, when he was here, was inept. And our defense, just like the past 15 years, has always been inept. And so the first thing that I saw when Barry Odom got hired, I was like, man, I don't know, he didn't do a great job at Missouri. It's another assistant we're hiring, but it's different. He's a defensive coordinator, which we need. And the first thing he does when he gets in this community, he goes to all the high schools.
He did that like in the first week, right?
It was so refreshing because there is so much talent within this city. I mean, Gorman took it to a whole different level and made other teams go play out-of-state competition. And that just increased the eyes and the opportunities for these local kids. And they should get an opportunity to stay home. Fight for your Rebels here.
I think you have to, and I think this team deserves it. There's no excuses now.
They deserve some success.
Sure. I mean, they're 5-1. It's homecoming. They have an opportunity to make a bowl game if they can beat Colorado State. And by the way, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. Colorado State's decent. This is not Nevada they're playing. This is a pretty good football team that almost beat Colorado. I remember watching that game a few weeks ago.
That was a great game. I remember watching that one.
So this is a pretty well-coached team. They're physical. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. And listen, Colorado State's not a bad football program. Nope. So I look forward to the game on Saturday afternoon. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You never know what's going to happen tonight in New York, but I agree with you, I expect the Aces to come back for a Game 5 in a must-win final game for both team in the WNBA Finals. Doesn't get much better than that if you're a WNBA fan, so that's going to be a lot of fun, assuming that they lose tonight. I don't know what's going to happen for sure, but we'll have to see. And again, the Las Vegas Raiders could be 4-3, even though I don't put much credence in that because they're beating some really bad football teams. The Patriots are terrible. The Packers offense is a joke, and the Bears are the worst team in the NFL. So I'm not going to start jumping for joy if the Raiders are 4-3 because I actually think they're ending up being like 5-9.
The Raiders play the Bears this weekend.
Yes,
correct?
They do on the road.
Yeah, so last week I was on the radio and I had made a prediction that Justin Fields, but it sounds like it's going to be the game of the backups.
Yeah.
And
Hoyer's
I
going to be out
bet
there.
you that over/under just dropped to about 15 points. I mean,
so this is something that I heard from a friend of mine yesterday who's in the media, covers the Raiders, and he told me that Davante Adams refused to talk to the media, and he only had 2 receptions in the game last week against New England, and he didn't want to talk to the media. Davante Adams wants out. I believe as long as Josh McDaniels is here, in my personal opinion, Davante does not want to be here. That's what I think.
I feel like for Davante, for what he wanted to do, he wanted to come and play with Derek Carr from their days playing at Fresno State. I feel that they gave him the absolute cold shoulder. They shipped off his best friend, and the ball's not coming to him. You got Brian Hoyer, who's not practicing with the first teams. It's just a bad situation, and absolutely they should dump a couple pieces and get some draft capital. They should dump Josh Adams. They should dump Davante Adams. They should get some draft capital because that's what they're going to need when they fire this coach at the end of the year.
Well, take this for what you want. Speaking of Davante Adams, he was not on the practice field today, and I've heard nothing that he's injured. So this is bizarre. Why is Davante Adams not on the practice field? Could it be that he's sitting out? Could it be that he doesn't want to? I don't know.
If I was him, I would not want to play because the trade deadline is coming up, and why risk injury when that trade deadline is coming up? The Raiders aren't going to get a first for him, but you could probably get a second and a fourth-round pick and build that draft capital because you're going to need it for next year. You've got a ton of missing pieces, and they have not been drafting well at all.
No, they haven't. So we'll learn more about this, but we know that Davante Adams did not speak to the media after the win last week in New England. I haven't heard anything that would tell me that he's hurt. So I don't know. This is really, really, really bad. Who's the other receiver that didn't even play last week? I'm trying to remember.
Is it the kid from Clemson?
I'm forgetting his name. I'm drawing a blank right now. But Josh McDaniels, in my personal opinion, is going to lose this locker room by the end of the year. That's my personal opinion.
I think he's already lost it, Brian.
I mean, maybe. The problem is that you can still be looking at a record of 4-3. Yes, I know you got to look at the competition, but maybe you might be right. I'm not in the locker room. I just think by the end of the year, that's definitely going to be the case. Now, and the question is, what does Mark Davis do?
Well, he'll probably fire Josh McDaniels, hire Brian Kelly from LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of the trend of how he's been hiring coaches lately.
Yeah. Well, we only have a few more minutes left here. Time goes by very fast this hour when I'm screaming at some of the people that call in.
That was a fast hour.
It was, but I want to give you the opportunity because you're a big supporter of this show and a good friend. So I want to give you the opportunity and tell people how people can contact you in this time when so many people are looking to either buy or sell a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my name is Blake Gwynn. I'm with Willow Manor. We're powered by Keller Williams. My phone number is 702 540-3311. Right now, we are in a shifting market that is rapidly changing. Inventory is climbing and sales are decreasing. So if you're looking to sell your home, you've got to have a good strategy. It's not just pricing it correctly anymore. You've got to market the property. I just put a new listing on today.
Oh, cool.
Within 15 minutes, I already had 20 saves on Zillow. So that's 2421 Cockatoo. It's in North Las Vegas.
Oh, I would love to say
4-bedroom, 3
Cockatoo.
full bath, a humongous loft, and it's under $430,000.
I mean, that all sounds great, but the big seller to me is, hey, where do you live, sir? I live on Cockatoo.
Cockatoo.
I mean, that's just the way it just rolls off.
Yeah.
You know, I brag. I live on Cockatoo. I love that.
But for PTL listeners, because I know you guys are so loyal, if you buy, invest, sell with Willow Manor or myself, when we close, we'll give you $1,000 cash back. Again, that's Blake Wynn, 702-540-3311.
Call 540-3311. Sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it. Blake, it's always a pleasure having you in, my man. We'll have you in again next week.
Thank
It's
you, my
always
friend.
fun. We mix it up, talk politics with Blake, talk sports.
I love it.
I love it. Talk the housing market. We didn't get a lot to do a lot of that today. We'll probably do that next week, but always a pleasure having you in, Blake. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.